So let's see. Let's dive into the podcast first. Let's talk about that a little bit.
We could talk
So
about it.
so let's talk about what's the podcast about? What's the goal of the podcast? What are we doing?
Okay. All right. So the I don't know if y'all can see it, but it is spelled Wisdumb. And the original thought behind wisdom, the reason that I spelled it the way that I did, was that there are a lot of dumb mistakes that we make in life that we learn from. There are secondhand things that we can learn from parents, mentors, celebrities, whatever the case may be, where they've done something and we learn from them. But over time, as I have had the pleasure of being the host of the Wisdom Podcast, it's picking up a lot of new meaning for me. Um, and one of those being that the word dumb itself, to dumb something down, the reason why a lot of people feel stuck, a lot of people feel like they can't reach that goal is because some stuff goes over their head, like intellectually. So sometimes to dumb things down, the wisdom that people get that kind of reach to people on a level who aren't in Ivy League schools or that kind of thing. So it makes I feel like I'm kind of that middle person between coaches and mentors and people who have a story of tenacity, have a story of adversity, have a story of intentionality. And then from there, give it to someone who would never be able to be in that same room with them because they think they're not capable of it. Um, and I bring it to a level that is accessible for them. So I'm making this knowledge accessible to a larger audience of people. The reason why I started the podcast is because being an adult, being a wife, being a mom, having all of my beautiful titles, I felt stuck in life. Um, if I could say, like that hamster wheel kind of motion where I would look up a year later and I felt like I didn't do anything that really grew Cierra as a person herself. Um, and it was hard to speak on that for me because I wanted to keep this facade like, oh, she's got it all together, but I didn't. I still don't. But I knew that I wasn't the only person who felt like this. So I created this safe place for people. If you're just a mom, if you feel like there's nothing more to you than a mom, whatever your story is, to share it with someone, to know that there is a point of intentionality in our life that we have to reach to get out of this rut. And that's the first step. So I'm helping people take that first step. I don't have it figured out, but I'm walking in life with you guys the same way. So that's a little bit about it to help people start living intentionally, rather than just going with the flow, because it's very dangerous to just go with the flow. You'll look out and you'll be pulled with the riptide, and now you're like feet and yards down in the ocean wondering why you can't get back to the shore, versus, okay, I know how to get out of this riptide. I can swim against it, I can swim with it, and take the steps to get out of it, and not feel like you're just being sucked up. So that's my little analogy of the Wisdom Podcast.
Okay, I got you. You're trying to help people
Yeah,
educate and move forward. So
absolutely.
I want to dive into something you said a couple of times, and it really, as you were talking about basically trying to introduce yourself and the thousands of titles that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what is it that you were? I get a sense that, like you mentioned, you were
Mm-hmm.
trying to find yourself
Mm-hmm.
or at least understand who you are better, and that sort of led you on this journey. And so I recognize you're probably at the beginning of the journey.
Mm-hmm.
But what is it that you were maybe you felt like you were missing or was
Mm-hmm.
missing or whatever the case may be that that you were hoping to begin to find, if you will.
Okay. That's a great question. My answer for that is that everything that I was putting myself into, I felt one of three things. One, I felt a lot of confusion where I was. I never felt clarity with being, like, for example, the fact that I'm an insurance agent speaks volumes. You guys don't know me personally, but that was a big task for me, and that spoke a lot to me to be able to know that, hey, you are intellectual enough to learn these things. And if you put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want to do. However, even being in this role, there was this sort of fulfillment that I didn't feel in that career. And I would say it's mostly for career things. Um, Now, don't get me wrong, with my marriage, absolutely beautiful, but there's still always another goal to reach. We always want better for ourselves because even in marriage, you can look up 5 years and be like, what did we do? As a unit, what did we do to better ourselves? And what growth have we seen in our marriage? Even with my kids, what am I doing to be intentional with them? Am I taking the time out to um, not only be the best parent, but make sure that they're being raised as a person who's going to love people, who's going to share light in this world and have values that the world can't shake. So that's what's important to me. And I do feel a lot of fulfillment. But when it came to my career, I want to say that because that is where, for a long time, I felt my purpose was tied. I felt like I couldn't find my purpose because I thought it was tied to a career. Like I had to find success in either being a nurse or a therapist or all of these things that I wanted to do in order to figure out what my purpose was because I thought it was an occupation. And I'm now realizing that my purpose is not an occupation. My purpose is something that I carry with me everywhere that I go in life. So whether I'm at a gas station talking to the cashier behind the clerk, if I'm at a grocery store, if I'm talking to my kids, if I'm talking to my husband, or talking to you right now. And it's also something that I use to make me the best version of myself in whatever occupation I choose to be in. So there's a lot that I'm learning about purpose right now that is truly awakening a lot of things in me because that's why I felt so stuck. Because I was tying it to what my job title said about me. If I went to college and got that degree, that is what for my, not saying like the society put that on me, but for myself, that's what I did because I didn't understand what purpose meant or what my purpose was. And I'm now discovering that.